Is it gonna rain?
All right.
You drink this.
2 more days of cut hay.
All right, I call this meeting to order. Please rise. Daniel, would you care to have a prayer for us, please?
Sure. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening. We ask that you would be with us as we make decisions that are going to affect this whole county. Just be with each one of us. Give an understanding to the citizens that are listening to us as we make those decisions. Just be with everybody here. Those that can't make it, bless us and keep us safe. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you've not already done so, please sign in. I'm just going to remind everybody that if you're talking or have something to say, if you could come up to the mic so everybody on YouTube land can hear. So, all right, council. You've got your minutes in front of you. Just take a few minutes. Hopefully everybody's read them over. There's 2 sets of minutes, one for April the 13th and one for May the 11th.
I'm going to abstain from both of them since I was here for the corrections on the one and for the last one.
Okay, all right. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to pass the minutes for April 13th and May 11th.
Motion made by Steve, is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Nick. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion carried. 6-1 abstention. Okay. All right, monthly financial report and claim dockets.
The original one I sent you on June 2nd obviously has increased because we've received settlement. So I printed you out new ones that you should have for, that you have in your packets tonight. We have $6.8 million in the county general fund, which at this time last year we only had 6.1 million, so we gained a little bit there. Highway has done wonderful. I went back and looked at 2024. At this time in 2024, they only had $1,025,000. In 25, they only had $1,161,000, and this year they're up to $2,815,000. So we've gained ground. We've got bills paid. We still have one. We got 2 more payments on. I believe 2 more, and then we're good to go. So we've gone up 1.6 million in just this compared to this time last year in just the highway department, which again is most important for their budgets for the June 30th cash balance, which is what state looks at when they're doing. Our riverboat isn't really gaining a whole lot. Jail fund, I still have some transfers that I need to do. When we get those done, there'll be $1,079,000. That's fund number 9181. Again, we have the current amount, $315,567 from this year, and the $317,329 from last year that needs to go in. Plus, there is still the storage unit money, which is about $33,000 that will go in there. So that will bring the jail fund up to over $1 million to be working with.
That's on 981.
9181.
Did you mention about the adjustments?
I just read that we need to make those adjustments. If you guys want to make a motion to allow that transfer to happen, I still have to submit them to the state, but you can allow me to move all of the funds that need to go in that 9181 fund so that by your July balances, everything will be there. You know what exactly you got to work with. But again, from what's currently there and these three changes that are needed, you'll end up with $1,079,293.95.
You need it in a motion,
Yes.
I make.
Motion made by Nick, is there a second? Oh,
Can Nick repeat that motion, please?
To transfer those funds.
We're transferring the storage fund monies, both from the bank and from current Fund 4015, the sheriff's 2 years' worth of money that was set aside for the jail. And again, that total available when these transfers are done will be $1,079,293.95.
Thank you, Sheila.
You seconded?
okay, it was a toss-up between Anton and Daniel. Pardon? Okay, Anton. So any questions on that? All those in favor? Motion carried.
You also have a copy of the spring settlement that was in your packets, just shows the breakdown. Again, what stays in the general fund and what is divvied out in them. We probably will make maybe just a little less than 9 million come for the fall settlement. So that's what we're expecting to offset the differences. But again, if you have questions, we can go through them with you. But we also got 1.3 million in lit settlement that came in that was unexpected. That is sitting in the funds that, according to the state breakdown, my suggestion is leave that sit until you know for sure exactly what plans are coming, what you might need in emergency between now and the end of the year. I wouldn't, but if the departments come to you and ask for additional appropriations, it's up to you to decide if you want to give them what they received.
So those are, that lit supplemental is reflected in these fund numbers
Yes.
at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was just, how did we receive that?
The 1.3,
No, that, I thought you said, was it 1.3?
a supplemental lit came in. It was above what we normally get. Probably won't get it again. We got it last year, but this particular year we got 1.3 and it was divided up. It went to PSAP and the Sheriff's Department and various, but it was 1.3 million.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on the financial reports and claims? If not, we're going on to our public hearing for additional appropriations. I hereby open the public hearing. And these are for the probation fund, let's see, $45,000 for care of patients, and the commissioners, $150,000.
Commissioners, 150,000 was that was carried forward originally for the window projects. Again, the state has allowed us to use it. You guys just had to reappropriate it, and that was the purpose for this.
And it ended up going for the DART program.
Yes.
Does the public have any questions or comments? If not,
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we proceed with the appropriation on the probation part of that for 45,000 care of patients.
Motion made by Anton, seconded by Joe. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion carried. All right, what about the commissioners for the 150,000?
I'll make a motion to approve the 150,000
Motion,
adjustment to the commissioners.
motion made by Joe. Is there a second?
I second that.
Seconded by Nick. Are there any questions on
That was
that?
just a movement of money, right?
It
It
was,
was
If
the-
we're not, okay, that's what I was
An
thinking.
appropriation adjustment from the
Yeah.
original that it was encumbered for versus what it is being.
since it was encumbered for the windows,
Yeah.
and now it's
we're
been
just
changed.
moving it out, okay.
Right. So, any other questions? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carried. Did you?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, yes, yes. Forgot about it. All right, so 6 and 1 abstention.
There's a sheet for everybody to sign.
Okay.
It's one of your piles.
All right, I hereby close the public hearing. Yes.
On Fund 9183, the community crossings grant, it shows
Negative.
a negative there. Are we just waiting on grant monies?
That amount of money is in your lit fund. You have two different pools of money in there. If you recall, you had some that was left over last year that you guys allowed to go toward special road projects. The amounts were figured wrong or refigured, so we owe $117,000 out of the $250,000 that you have in your jail lit fund. We will have to do the correction on that. Plus, there's also enough in that with $28,000 will be left over after we pay the crossings grant for this year as well. So there'll be extra money left in your lit fund from what was set aside. We just have to do the paperwork to get. And there was $17,898 that was,
We will have to reimburse that back to them.
and that has to go back to the state, and that'll be written out of your crossings grant money as well, because it was unspent or it came in under, but the state has said we have to give it back. So
How different were the figures?
there's $17,898 difference. That what came in from E&B was who it was, their amounts on their roads again. There's $117,000 that will go in this line or this fund that will pay what is in the red, and that leaves the $17,898 that they have to process to send back to the state when we get that letter. And then the new grant that came in, you did get $780,000 just came in on the other. It's in your fund, 9187, I believe, is the new fund that we created, and there's $780,000 that came in there, and that is where the other $190,000 for the match will go out of your lit to cover that. And they had originally said it was gonna be $790,000, but it only came in at $780,000. But it's better than nothing.
So do we need to take any action to get that account?
No, those are automatically done because they're state monies that have to go back. So,
If no further questions, we'll move on to old business, the jail project review, and update by Jeff Peters.
Thank you all. For the record, Jeff Peters from Peters Franklin. We're serving as the municipal advisor on your jail bond transaction. No material changes from what it was we talked about last time. On, our last discussion, you've got two options before you, the 104 bed, the 112 bed. We believe that the income tax projection based on the legislation, the way it's written today, gives you ample coverage to undertake either one of those transactions. and be able to fund that. Now, there are inherent risks in that you do not get to adopt your new income taxes until between July 1 of 28 and October 1 of 28. The legislation regarding that, the allocation between different units of government, your revenue stream, all of those things potentially could be changed in the next 2 legislative sessions. However, given the best information you have today, which are the formulas and the availabilities for local income tax rates that you can impose, you have a viable funding model for either of those projects.
I have a question.
Sure.
When I was going over your, this one, where it has amount that we have and received in, and available for operations and allocated for the jail project, in 2027, which we're now looking at making the budget for 2027, on the economic development lit, you've got available for operations is $274,750. That budget for that, for next year is $955,000.
So you would be eating into cash balance for that. And you will have tight budgets in 27 and 28 because you won't see the new increase in income tax until 29. The memo that we sent along with that looked at possible places to fund that money. You have good cash reserves in the general fund, economic development lit, and some in the public safety lit fund as well. The other thing I did want to mention about lit, what you were just talking about, that supplemental distribution that came in a perfect world, you would not get a supplemental distribution at all because the state is guessing each year on how much income tax will actually be received into Owen County to be distributed. But they're basing it on data that's at least 2 years old because when they certified 26, they only had 23 audited data. So now when they go into 27, it'll be 24, et cetera. So you're a couple years behind. Because you got a supplemental distribution of $1 million, the state underestimated how quickly your income tax receipts were growing by $1 million or $1.3 million, whatever that number is. So again, that gives me a good feeling that your distributions, even based on the analysis we've done, are probably greater and are growing faster than what is anticipated. The other things to mention is you have backup potential for these projects. The estimates that we put together money-wise for you look at you continuing your tax rate today at 2.5% for income tax. The new legislation allows you to go to 2.9. So you potentially could have more revenue if you wanted for other operations, or if you found yourself needing to put more money toward the project, there's money there to be had in additional income tax, even though that's above what you want to do as a fiscal body. The other thing is, as we talked about this whole transaction from the beginning, even though you are going to use income taxes to pay the debt service as it comes due across the next 20 years, you are going to backstop it with the property taxes in the county in order to get the best bond rating, to get the less interest rate, to get the best and the cheapest financing for the people of Owen County. That being said, you have that backstop that debt service will be paid irrespective of what happens. So you're in a position, and one of the council members and I were talking on the way in, a few years ago before this new legislation, you did not have a fundable option and model. Today you do. And again, if you issue the bonds, that puts you in that position that they will be repaid. The legislature can't impair your repayment and bondholders. They'll have to be repaid. And again, you'll have a couple different options in there if something goes sideways. But you're in a position at this point that you can decide to go forward.
So they're raising the cap from 2.5 to 2.9 this year?
No, you have, I believe, more cap now today. You currently have imposed 2.5, which is what you have said as a group you want to keep it at. The new legislation, though, allows you to go to 2.9. There are some increases you could probably make in 27 and 28. I haven't investigated those because you haven't relayed to me that you're interested in doing that you want to stay at that 2.5.
How does that affect our towns?
It'll depend on how it is you're going to divide up. You're going to, based on what we've drawn up, you're going to impose 1.2 countywide, and you're going to keep that at the county level. You would also impose 1.2% countywide, and you're going to send a little over 23% to the two towns, and you're going to keep the rest. So that's 2.4. For that scenario with the towns,
And we're doing that regardless of the jail project, correct?
no.
No.
That would be an option, but this is to fund the jail project, but there are certain things that, the way the law is written, has to spin off to the towns. They get a proportionate share, and it's basically 150% of their population proportionate share. I believe that puts, and this may be the old model, but I think Gosport sees an increase, Spencer sees a decrease. But your conversation that you've had before is that Spencer saw a large increase in public safety income tax only because you imposed it in order to try and undertake the jail project, which you haven't been able to get to yet. So for several years, they have gotten additional income taxes that they didn't get prior to that. But as of what they're getting today, I think Spencer would go down, Gosport would go up. Then for that last 0.1%, you can kind of decide whether you would put it toward fire and EMS, which would allow you potentially to spread more to the towns and the fire territory, the Poland fire territory. Or you could allocate some of that to library or to townships.
And you got a figure on possibly what that could be?
Yes, if you did a 0.05% to townships, that would produce about 274,000. And townships today get about 266,000. So that about offsets. However, you have winners and losers because the new legislation goes away from distributing income tax based on property taxes levied and goes to population. So for these townships, Clay is a loser, Franklin is a loser, Jackson is a big winner.
Because of the fire territory?
No, because of the population. Washington Township is a big winner. And it has to do with, these levies and the property taxes were established back in the 70s, and they've grown by historic formula. So if you have grown a lot population since then, potentially your property tax levy has not kept up. So you are receiving income taxes based on property taxes, not the people that are living there. So now this new regime is going to change all that. So you'll have winners and losers, and that's why you're going to have Gosport as a winner and Spencer as a loser. It's just because of population changes.
Thank you, Jeff, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Got a couple questions. So at the last meeting, we talked about the two, we'll call them blackout years, where we don't have the new structure yet, but we do have a bond payment to make.
Yes.
And we talked about how that was going to be made. We already earmarked 1.3 million in the budget for each of those years, so we're already got that money. And in my notes, because I found them, I had noted for year number 1 that we were going to utilize some of the unspent money from 24 and 25, which we since migrated over to Fund 9181. So that money is sitting there. We could use that money, could take that, appropriate the difference, and then make the 2 million or whatever bond amount we have to make for the first year. Just
Yes.
keeping it simple. For year 2, I had a note that that's when we possibly would be selling or have proceeds for the sale of the old jail property, because we wouldn't keep that property. And so therefore, whatever that pools, hopefully decent or enough that's adequate, we could make up the difference in that year to the bond payment at that point.
Yes.
And then in years 3, 4, 5, et cetera, well, then we're up to the new income tax structure at that point and what you just talked about.
Correct.
So, I mean, is that an accurate scenario?
That is the scenario that I've drawn up, and that's exactly
Okay.
how I would expect it to fall out.
Okay, good, because I just want to make sure we were clear on that from last month. The other question I have is technical on the bond part of this. So you mentioned maybe last year that from a bond market standpoint, it's a little quirky. There is no capital buy down that's any earlier than 8, 9, 10 years on this kind of a bond. So we talked earlier about, well, you know, let's say we have a better growth year on income tax, or let's say we sell other county property and we have some extra money. You know, logic tells me, well, we could save the taxpayer a lot of money over the remaining years of the bond if we pay $500,000 down on the principal. But you had mentioned that that's not an option with a bond arrangement like this until you get so far into it. Can you explain that? And is that negotiable to a certain extent?
It is negotiable. You know, we can sell it with, that you could call it immediately and do exactly what you want. The interest rates will be a lot higher.
Okay.
The market does not want debt that is not going to be outstanding for, in some time periods, at least 8.
Okay.
But here over the last year and a half, they've really been at 10. So you'll take an interest rate hit, which I would not advise on an amount that is this large and this long. You
Because
wanna
your
get the
thought is that
cheapest
it would
interest
cancel
rate.
out, or the benefit would not.
Well, my fear is that you'll never make the call. You'll just make 20 years worth of payments. And therefore, you will
Have a
have
higher interest
paid a whole
rate,
lot
yeah.
more across that 20-year period because you never found enough money to put aside, which is typically what happens. You know, it's like the mortgage, et cetera. Until you get close to the end, you've never had enough extra money that you can start to buy it down. And at that point, the interest portion that's left is small. You're making almost all principal payments.
And then the other part was we'll call it a interest rate buy down or a secure component to the overall debt, and how that can improve the interest rates that we could get. Explain that one more time.
That one is going to be based on purchasing bond insurance, and it's going to depend on the bond rating that you get. So as we talked about before, we have to have an audit, which you guys have completed now through 2024, which means for Standard & Poor's to give us a bond rating, that audit has to be within at least a 2-year window of when we ask for or get the rating. So that means we need to do this by the end of '26, or we need to ask the Board of Accounts again to come down and audit 25 if it falls into 27.
It's done.
Okay, so the 25's done, so we can, good to go toward 27. Depending on what bond rating you get for this transaction, it's probably, I'm thinking it's going to be an A to an A+, if you move up at least 2 steps, which a step up from A+ would be AA minus, and a step up from that would be AA. If you buy bond insurance, you buy a AA rating. So typically, if we have 2 jumps like that, we'll buy the bond insurance to get the lower interest rate, because again, we have this huge amount over a 20-year period. The lower we can get that interest rate, the lower all of the interest cost is across that time period.
Yeah, so there the benefit outweighs the cost of
Yes.
purchasing the bond insurance.
And the bond
that point.
insurance is included in the.
We built the bond insurance into the sources and uses
Yeah.
Okay.
as part of that.
Good. The other question I had on the land side of this, and this may not be a question for you, but generally when you purchase real estate, so there's an appraisal done in the process. Now, this is a little different because the seller had a certain minimum that they wouldn't even release the property for. So are we okay or good with some of the legal parameters in terms of purchasing without a market appraisal? So my question is if, and I'm just throwing numbers out there, you have a 17-acre section we're looking to buy, 90 is the price the seller wants, but if the market value is 70, then as a public entity making a decision to purchase, does that restrict us in any way? How does that come into play? Are we in, not violation, but are we, how does that work exactly?
We're getting 2 appraisals done on the property as we speak right
Okay.
now. If it would come in at under 90,000 an acre, let's say it come in at 70,000, then we could approach the sellers and say, hey, here's where we're at, you know what I'm saying? And try to negotiate. But, you know, they said.
They could say no.
They were
Yeah.
said, yeah,
Okay.
they have said no.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're gonna have any issues with it coming in lower than the 90,000 thing.
But if we as the buyer say, we're fine with it, we're gonna pay the 90, that, we're not, there's no particular issue in doing that.
There's not.
Okay. I just wanna make sure there's,
If it praises less, I mean, it's like selling a car. It may praise less, but when somebody says, well, I want 5,000 for the car, only praises for 4. Somebody wants to buy a car for 5, they don't buy a car.
there you go. And I guess it is from more of a, considered a private transaction. Yeah, I guess if you were financing it, then the bank's involved. They don't wanna loan you money. So I think that's probably where the catch would be. Here, we're using cash for the purchase. So we're utilizing some of this 4 or 5 million that we saved in that fund. We're going to allocate that to the land purchase, and then it's a cash deal and it's done. Okay, just want to clarify that. I appreciate that, Commissioner.
Yes.
And is that 17 acres, is that in city limits or is that county? So it's, so to have that rezoned, it'd have to be,
No, it's in the county, I'm sorry, I apologize.
okay.
I'm looking at the plans here, Sam. The conceptual site plan,
Yes.
is that puts it right up on the highway. Is that what you guys are going with, or is that?
That's our first option, yes. We can set it anywhere.
Because I remember we had a discussion of if we were to want to sell any of that land, the highest value of land is going to be next to the highway. And if we put a jail next to the highway, the idea of somebody coming behind it to buy commercial real estate is far less of an option.
That's true. But our best option is to put it where they got it laid out from here. You have your map right there.
Is, how is that the best option? Like the best option for what?
Is that this
Not
one?
have to run utilities and stuff as far.
Well, we were already factoring running utilities farther back up to the quarry.
Yeah, we were trying to save a little bit of cost on that. We'll have an entrance off of the highway, then we'll have another entrance off of whatever that road's called right there. I don't know where it's road, where it's called right there.
But if our land value is drastically different because we built on the front instead of the rear, that would far supersede any utility costs, certainly. Because you're talking,
The land value is gonna be the land value, no matter where you put the gym.
no, that's not correct.
Well, tell me why it's not.
Because,
Your land value-
so say if you're Arby's, are you gonna wanna be next to the highway, or are you gonna be out there by the rock club?
Understand, but we're not Arby's.
No, but we're gonna try to sell to Arby's and things like that.
Okay, but I think put the cart before the horse. We have no plans at this moment to sell any of the 17 acres. Our plan is to get the jail built and maybe utilize the rest of the 17 acres to get the coroner's office a place to go, and maybe get the health department a place to go, so they're not paying $1,500 a month rent. I mean, I'm not saying that we would sell if we needed to, Joe. I understand where you're coming from. I don't see that would benefit us when we have, if you look down the future at the things that 17 acres could possibly produce for Owen County as a whole entity.
That's exactly what I'm looking at, is that, in my opinion, I was under the impression that was kind of what we were thinking, was we were gonna offset some of this cost with commercial real estate up front. And if you're thinking of the big picture of what's best for Owen County in a whole, it would certainly be to attract future business next to the highway, next to Walmart.
Well, that is a good possibility. We can always look at setting the jail back further. That's definitely an option. It's not out of the question to move back, we can turn in direction. They just thought that was the best prime location to set the jail. I understand where you're coming from, but I remember back in the discussion, the main thing was not about selling any part of that 17 acres. The main part was about selling the old jail facility.
That's
No,
correct,
that's
but we were also, it was about selling that, but in the same breath of, if we are overpaying for a piece of property, there needs to be, outside of the benefit of us owning that for the jail,
Sure.
there can be some return on that as well.
I do understand where you're coming from. And we can talk to the contractor, developer, and say, what if we put it back here? Or what if we turn it this way? But I know the sheriff's had discussions. I'm pretty sure with the developer and contractor and how they want to lay it out and stuff like that. It seemed like it fit the need the best. I wouldn't want to hold the jail project up by the fact whether we was going to sell 5 acres or not.
I mean, if we're talking $90,000 an acre though, that's definitely something to consider.
Well, that's now, but if you put a jail there, it may not be $90,000.
Well, definitely not gonna be that behind the jail.
And I honestly don't remember much of that conversation about planning on selling. If I remember right, the sellers were against us selling off any of it. Was that not part of their
That is
stipulation? I kind of remember that in Tilden.
We did talk about it, we thought about just maybe purchasing the back part, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it was all in there.
No.
Right.
Well, and that's an interesting point, because if you, generally, the further back you put the jail, then that adds some cost on the sewer service, obviously, and I think that's what was alluded to earlier. But if, and this is hypothetical, if we had the back part and only had the acreage needed for the jail and future expansion, that would reduce our cost. But technically, wouldn't the remaining acreage that the seller would retain at the road then with the sewer would become more valuable to them? So couldn't there be a negotiation on the price of the land on the back part as a split at lesser cost per acre, knowing that the front part they keep and they can do whatever they want with it later on with sewer? Because those properties would be highly more valuable with sewer access there than they are now. Yes.
They said that they were not interested in splitting that property.
That was
said by the.
So it's an all or none?
Yes.
And they would, honestly, if I remember right, what Tilden was saying, that they were not, really open to sell it, but they would sell it to the county. And they were not interested in splitting it, and they were not interested in us selling off portions of it.
Well, when you buy a property,
There actually can be.
but there's no stipulations in what was presented to us. Certainly not. I mean, if you buy 17 acres, the economic impact here of putting it at the back as opposed to the front is astronomical. I mean, you are talking, what does it take? 12 acres for our jail at most? If you're talking 5 to 6, 7 acres up front of prime real estate, when you come into town, that's the first thing you see, that is
Yeah.
worth something.
But then if.
And I'm all about this. I love
understand what
it.
you're talking about, but then if you move the coroner's office out there and build them a facility out there, and you sell the piece of property that they're sitting on, stuff like that, the economic impact, I understand where you're talking from, but the benefits of the county as a whole is substantial by having the whole 17 acres. It's substantial. I mean, in my opinion, because you can move the coroner's office out there, and maybe even the health department. They're paying $1,500 a month rent.
I understand that, but that's gonna be way cheaper than any type of building we try to build out there.
I understand. I mean, I understand where you're
I
coming
just didn't know if this was set in stone on the exact
from. The
location.
17 acres is set in stone by the sellers, they would not, they don't.
Right, and I understand that, but I didn't know if this map of where the jail sits on this map
I
is set
think,
in stone.
we'd have to address that with the sheriff and what his thoughts are as well with the developer too.
Now, in terms of timing on the next step, Commissioner Hobbs, so there's been some land testing and sampling and things like that with the property, and that's, from what I understand, finishing up. We've got a couple of appraisals that are outstanding. There's probably some resolutions and some action that you all need to formally take if you're going to proceed with the purchase. What kind of timeline are we looking at this point? Because I know back in March, it was a little bit of a guess. Knowing what we know today and what's in process, where's our timeline at this point? Like, as far as what is the earliest time that the ducks will be in a row and there'll be some kind of presentation to the council on the formal part to this?
Well, hopefully in July.
July?
Yeah,
Okay.
the appraisal should be back anytime. And once they get those back, the attorney can draft up all the resolutions, stuff like that. Because our agreement for purchase of the property is July 4th.
Okay. And you think that that would be extended a little bit, knowing that there's stuff happening and,
I mean, we may have to extend a little bit. If the appraisals come back above where we need them to be and stuff like that, then it's just a flush getting the paperwork done.
because our council meeting is not until after the 4th, so, it's close, but,
Well, if we have to, we call a special meeting or something like that, a joint meeting, or if we need to. We'd have to get with Mr. Keith and the property owners to say, hey, we may need another week, 2 weeks, or something like that.
Okay.
I don't think that'd be an issue.
I'm thinking they probably would extend it if they knew how far you've gone with it.
So
But-
we're waiting for the appraisals, and what about the environmental study? Has that come back yet?
It's done, it's not, we don't have the report back.
The report back.
So there's no issues.
So we're waiting for the appraisals and the environmental study and the core sampling and all of that,
Survey's done,
and the survey.
it's done.
Oh, it's done, okay. And all of that should be done by July the 4th and,
We're open.
okay.
When's your first meeting in July? The 3rd, which is right,
That's a
the day
Friday.
before the...
That's a
okay,
Friday.
The holiday?
Is it on a
Okay.
Friday?
Well, it'd be a Thursday, right?
This Thursday's the 2nd.
Oh, okay, so the 2nd.
Second.
Okay.
So do we want to have a joint meeting that we can kind of discuss all of that?
I'll call tomorrow and see how close they are on the appraisals. Get
Okay.
those turned into us. Then I can call them and let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because I would love to see us, have, before any, formal actions taken, have a joint meeting, and, the public can come and just kind of, all of the players, BW Construction, Jeff, if you would mind come, and Elevatus, and, so if any questions arise, then we could have them answered.
Do we want to set a date?
I set it for the date of our commissioners meeting.
Okay.
The 2nd? I'm not going to be here, so...
Whether I'm gonna be here or not, it's gonna be irrelevant, but we can go ahead and set the date of July 2nd.
Or we could have it before our council meeting on the 13th. Would that be too,
As close as that is.
That's close, that's close. I'll get a hold of Mr. Keith tomorrow
Yeah, I'd prefer to do that.
They'll have to get permission from the owners to extend it.
Right.
And I'll
But I mean, do you need action from the council to be,
You can
on,
go ahead and set it for the 13th or whenever your council meeting is. And if for some reason they say, well, no, we're not going to extend it past the 4th, I'll notify you and we cancel the meeting.
okay,
I don't think they'll, you know, they've been good to work with so far.
I'm sure they would.
Appraisals will be
Yeah.
another week or two, something.
So I'll make a motion that we set, because it'd be nice to have it kind of separate from the regular meeting, just because it's its own topic and it's important. Would 5 o'clock then on that 13th, Monday the 13th, be good, the hour prior?
Be fine with me.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we set a special joint meeting with the commissioners, pending their approval and participation, for 5 o'clock PM on Monday, July 13th, specifically for the jail project.
motion made by Anton, is there a second? Second by Daniel. All those in favor? Motion carried. Okay. Hopefully we can get all the players to the table and get this moving forward. Any other questions or? On the, I remember when we talked about like going backwards on the timeline you would need for the bonds.
I talked to B&W today. They said to get their guaranteed maximum price would be about 4 months, which would line up real well with us, you know, when you tell us to go. Trying to think though, yeah, bond council will need to draft a calendar as to how all that hits. To do it in a 4-month period, you might have to have a special meeting or two
Okay, we
rather
can do
than your
that.
regular council meeting.
Mhm.
But I would think that 4 months should get you pretty close.
Okay,
Because again, what we typically do is, while they're working on a GMP, we're working on all your approvals for the financing. And then, based on the estimates they've given us today. And then when they get the GMP, they say, okay, it's not 38.5 million, it's 37.8 million. So then we scale it down, rerun all our numbers, advertise that, go sell just enough bonds to fund your 37.8 million, the lower amount, so that you don't borrow more than you should. And then it takes a couple weeks for bond council to close that for you to get your money. So again, okay, you did say 25 audits done though, so we're good, even if we fall into 27. Okay.
So at that meeting, do you guys have any questions with the council as far as the size of the jail?
I've got some questions. I spent most of the afternoon on this, and I dug out some estimates, because there's been several. And this one, I forget, I think it was, what did I say? Was this August of 25 that the Carroll County one? There was a Carroll County jail estimate, and the gross area was 31,609. It was a 110 bed count, and it was, the total project was 25 million. So I guess my question is, yeah, how did we go from 31,609 gross area and 110 bed count to now 36,342 square foot and 104 beds?
Carroll County jail.
And then go from 25 million to the 37 million. I know part of that is the land that we're purchasing.
But where'd the 5,000 square feet come from with 6 less beds?
I know. You wanna look?
I can probably tell you. Carroll County Jail, we took that design basically and made a couple additional modifications to the booking area with a holding cell and an office space. Made that area a little bit larger, which would have added square footage.
So it added square footage, but it took away bed count.
And it also, well, the bed count was just based on how you design the pod system itself. You
Okay.
can take the same one and tweak it however you want for bed count. We knew we needed around that 112 mark. What Bill is talking about is we needed another group holding, because if ever in the future we expand with another pod, we have to have 2 holdings. Right now, we have 1 drunk tank or 1 detox tank. So if somebody comes in that's under the influence of something, they go in there, right? So that we can watch them. The problem with that is we only have 1. So if we get a female, now we can't put them in a detox tank. So we had added an additional group holding, which is your detox tank on group holdings, so that we can have eyes on them from the desk, because they're under the influence of something. We're trying to make sure they don't OD or they don't have some fit because they're without their substance. So that was the thing that we had to add to.
So that
104 bed count
doesn't have that. I
does
remember
not
you saying
have
that.
the other group holding, but they are essential, especially if we add another pod in the future. 20, 25 years down the road, we have to expand because the population of the jail goes up, and we have to expand. That would be essential. We would have to have another group holding.
So on the, because I guess that's why I got confused, because I thought we just were pretty much replicating the Carroll County
It
Jail.
was basically the same. The only thing we did is we took the group holding, and actually I think one of the holding cells we took out to make the other office, and then bumped those your body scanner, your field sobriety area, and data master machine rooms that are before you get into the real secure part of the jail. Bump them out. So just that same size bumped out. They're just 3 in a row right there. And that's the only difference.
So
But it is,
the holding kind of took away the bed count, right? I mean, having an expanded
I
holding.
think in the lower bed count facility, they took out at least 2, if not 3, of the holding cells in the booking area to still give us an office for the jail lieutenant and sergeants. And so we lost like 6 beds at least right there. Then if they go back into the pods and make changes from cells to dorm style, you can lose beds there also. So it's just, they just, mostly was in, I think, that booking and holding areas where we lost the count.
Okay.
Which is that's the center of the building, and that's the hardest to modify 25 years down the road, because you have to tear your sally port off, extend your building out, and then build a holding sally port again. So that's, not easy like adding pods.
You wanna, just so I can show you exactly what we're looking at again. That's the main design. Come over here for the 1,000. And you're talking close to that. It's an enormous difference from the 5,000 square foot. Obviously, there's inflation in that too, but not.
and it is, you're talking also from the sally port into the jail, you have the shakedown room, basically where inmates come first. And they're in that, it's a locked room between sally port and booking. So they can't escape, right? And then off of it, you have detox, or data master, your body scanner, detox body scanner.
Opposite sides.
Opposite side, yeah.
Yeah.
So that whole area, I don't have a
But I'm
map
just,
here.
I'm
Yeah, you
saying,
do.
that's like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that the price changed on that, but like just that one right there, for some reason, like skyrocketed.
I have no
That's
idea.
something we'll just have to go through in the jail committee meeting and ask.
So we're talking these rooms right here. These are the ones that got bumped out. So this would have been back to here, and then this would have all been back to here. We just extended it out to put one more group on. That's the difference.
Yeah, certainly. Well, that's, I'll just, when we get into the jail committee, I'll just ask them, why did the estimating, design, and contingency go up $1 million? And that's not obviously one.
See, that's what I'd like to get, Elevatus and VW and with, because
And you had mentioned, you had asked earlier about why the difference between Carroll counties and what our estimate is today.
This is what.
If their jail was built in January or February of this year, what was 30, it would be 35.7.
Quite a bit.
If you wait until after those 2 months, it goes up, because they told us, remember, Garmong and VW both said January, February is when you want to do this, because after that, the rest of the year, the price goes up. And we didn't do it in January or February.
Yeah.
That's why the Carroll counties today would be 37.8.
Okay.
Because you pace this out, Carroll County, it was done over 3 years ago.
Yeah.
They've been in jail for over a year.
Oh, yeah, and you can easily see, I mean, obviously the inflation cost, they're all right there. But there was just one fee that's $1 million difference, that's just for estimating. So that's off, but jokingly.
So I want to ask one more question. So at the July meeting on the 13th, will we be ready to go or not go?
Well,
I
we're just
would-
waiting on you guys.
Not waiting on us, or we're just waiting on the appraisals?
Well, I think that's what we're all waiting on.
Yeah, that with a presentation of this is the exact thing we want with, here's the appraisals, here's the site map, and something to vote on. All right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's going to have to be a series of ordinances you guys are going to have to execute relating to land purchase. So whatever you need to do to draft with the attorney, or you're going to have to vote for that in your meeting at some point before you come to us. So as long as that can be done in the next 3 weeks or whatever, if you think that can be done, okay, then that's what we would be waiting on. And then we would need to also have a certain number of ordinances, which I suspect would be prepared in that same grouping, right?
Could be. I would
Because
think.
if the council takes action, then we'd kind of need those ordinances there.
We
So,
want them to you by July 13th.
correct,
Right.
correct.
That's what I'm working
Okay.
on.
Because right now, voting for anything is just, there's so many iffies. I mean, because we don't have, the
There's nothing
deed
to
to that
adopt.
land in hand. There's no ordinances, so it's kind of, until all of that becomes finalized. But yeah, we're hoping that I don't foresee any problem acting on that in July at our meeting. Any other questions for Jeff? I know you got a ways to drive. I appreciate you coming and answering some of my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. You don't mean to stick around for your must discussion?
Well,
Or do you have any must questions?
I don't know if there's really anything we need to do on that, to be honest. We're not going to call a meeting yet. We're still waiting for data. The advice of the Association of Indiana Counties is to wait till probably August timeframe to conduct that meeting at the earliest.
If you get that data.
Yeah,
If we
we need
would.
the data.
If you get
Yeah,
that data.
yeah. So
I'm hoping to
there's
learn
really-
something this
yeah.
weekend surely.
Yeah, and then we have a State Board of Accounts called conference here on Saturday, where the main topic is that issue, as well as the new lit structure and all that. So I think we'll certainly be in a more informed position after that. So I don't think we need anything specifically on must this
If you
evening.
need anything going forward, give me a call.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on to highway wages and job description.
So the commissioners, I think, did they approve or adopt the new job description that was emailed out for office coordinator? Okay, perfect. Was it all okay? There was no modifications or? Okay. So at our last meeting, we took action based on the highway department's presentation. One unfinished piece of business was the actual job description and titling for the office position. It needs to be labeled as office coordinator. The commissioners have done that. They adopted a job description that the consultant looked over and approved. I think Sheila had emailed it to everybody, or it had been sent out to everybody. It did classify already correctly, so we don't need to do anything special with that, and it's the same money. But we do need to approve that job description because it has to match our system. And we can't have two different job descriptions and titles and all that stuff, so. So I'm going to make a motion that we adopt the job description of office coordinator for the highway department. And it'll be a comment D, which it already kind of is, and that'll finish up that part of the request.
Motion made by Anton, seconded by Daniel. Are there any questions?
I have a
Yes.
question. So I guess, maybe I don't, this is not the time, but the question that I have with that is, with that new position, this is actually, I am doing the work of two people, and it's listed under one title, office coordinator. It merged the administrative assistant position and the administrative secretary position. I am the only one in the office, and I am the only one that's doing all of this. The commissioners had approved an increase to that position above what has already been given to me. So that's my question, is, do they need to be done separately, or is that something that can still be brought up to the council?
So the consultant already scored it based on the final product, and it scores as classified currently. So there's no recommendation to change that or increase that. It'd have to score higher in order to be paid more, and it didn't. So that's kind of why it's at comment D at the moment.
So when you met with Addie and listed all of the different duties that you do, I mean, it still didn't
So
score
some of
higher?
her suggestions, one of her suggestions is, my job is 35 hours a week, and I do not get overtime, I get comp time. She suggested maybe making the hours 40-hour a week, and then getting overtime pay versus. I went through, I don't know if I have it with me, and did a chart based upon what Anton had sent and plugged in, kind of like what I did with the operators at a $2 increase, $3 increase, $4, $5. And then I did a couple of them at staying at the same rate, but adding 40 hours a week to see what the pay would be.
That is an interesting thought, because it's still at 35 hours a week anyway, which is fairly limiting compared
Very.
to,
Oh, I
especially
bet.
considering the
Very
two.
limited.
So, I mean, it would just be a decision the council would, I mean, if the commissioners would need to be okay with it. That's the first part. But assuming that's,
Okay with it because 35 hours in that department when one person's doing what used to be 2 jobs. It's
I
ridiculous.
don't know how you do it, Benita.
She's doing 2 people's jobs.
Yeah.
She's the ERC because I can't be now that I'm the superintendent. She has to do all the FEMA stuff because I can't, because I'm the superintendent. Her workload is 2 people, maybe 3 people. Used to be 3 people.
Yeah, it used to be 3.
So when did
Yeah.
when did we get rid of the secretary position?
last meeting,
The meeting, when this job description.
Combined
Yeah,
the
we're
two
we
into one.
kind of vacated that.
So at one point in time, we had 3 people doing the job that she's doing by herself. I don't think it's right that she's not getting a pay raise that it's absolutely wrong.
There's a, and you,
The intention of the last meeting was she was included in that, it just didn't get.
Right, it
included in the
didn't.
motion.
Yeah.
But
It was on the spreadsheet, but
Yes.
it did not get included in the motion.
And anytime there's an emergency situation, these guys require her to be there anyway. So anytime we have anything major after hours, anything like that, I have to call her in.
So
She's not getting overtime.
So is office coordinator really adequate?
That is the thing.
It seems like that falls short.
I went through today and did a lot comparing the Comet Ds and Comet Es, Comet Cs. This job is very, very unique in that aspect of that, because I don't think there's anyone else per se that has to do everything that I do. I mean, I do all of he said the ERC, I do all the payroll stuff, he signs off on it. I do all of the budget stuff. I do all of that.
The CCMG.
CCMG, I do the FEMA. I do anything that deals with the insurance. If we have a claim, liability claim, people come into me, I fill out that paperwork. If we get new equipment, I have to add it into the data management thing. And then I have to make sure the insurance get added on through our insurance. If we sell a piece of equipment, I have to make sure it's taken off the insurance. There's just a lot of things that job details, and I did go through that with Addie. And so that's
I'm
what
just surprised that it didn't,
So I'm going to rescind my motion. I'm going to make a motion that we postpone this to July pending re-review with the consultant on the actual, I don't think it's right. I don't think it matches up correctly based on what I'm hearing here. Yeah, office coordinator, it's different anyway, I'll give it that.
Jackie of all trades what it is.
But because of the nature of the department, it's different in, I don't want to say assistant superintendent, but there's elements to that. If there's,
Well, and like the White Road issue we had that night, you get out the White Road, there's no cell phone reception. I couldn't make phone calls out. I had to radio everything into the office. She took care of the emergency locate. She had to take care of stuff that I would normally do, but I can't do it if I don't have a way to call out.
and she's coming in after hours, but
She's
not
in
getting
after
overtime.
hours.
I just
She's
don't
not
think
getting
that's fair.
overtime.
so the motion is to postpone to July pending re-review and evaluation. And I'll also throw in there the hours part, because just 35 hours a week for just one person, when it used to be 2 at 70, if you think about it, right?
And 3 at one point.
Yeah, so, maybe a 40-hour position instead of 35 is better anyway, just because of capacity issue there. So I think that's in my motion to study that and have that on our July meeting agenda.
and retro pay.
Yeah.
And that's still a part of it, once we figure out where we're going, then we can figure out what that retro is on that
Who
too.
takes care of all the tickets too for the stones?
She does all that.
See,
She's got everything.
sometimes in the summertime,
Who
that's
came
a
up with the name
full-time job.
coordinator? It almost sounds like the highway dispatcher in a way, and I don't think, maybe that's where there might be some confusion.
We've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I do.
Oh, a second by Burl. Okay, now let's discuss. I'm all for, I think it amazes me what you do, and you do it well. And I feel like, you and Chad both have, just improving the money and the cash balance. And I know how hard you work. And the fact that you don't give overtime, I think that's not fair. And that's why I urged you to call Addie, because I just assumed that it would score higher. So I think I'm all for looking into that, because, yeah.
And overtime is at the discretion of the department and the commissioners, that we already budget overtime, and there's no rule, there's nothing that's stopping you from being scheduled, or, if there is an overtime, then it happens. Again, not regularly, but there are times where it's going to happen. I don't see any particular restriction for that position, because the department does have overtime in their budget.
I think you ought to think about on the thing is like a part-time helper as far as them tickets is concerned and stuff. That's a full-time job in the summertime.
And as far as like the overtime and stuff, she's not classified as a highway employee. Her classification is a courthouse employee.
And that doesn't matter. It's based on hours worked and what's
Why
been
didn't you do
budgeted.
overtime?
But that's
Right.
why I don't get the overtime, because I've always been told I'm classified.
Is it in the personnel policy somewhere? Oh, well, maybe that's the problem.
Yes.
But on the pay side, on our scale side, there's not any difference as long as it's budgeted
Because I don't
and
get
approved.
overtime, I've always get comp time.
Ah, so it's more of a personnel thing. That's going to be a commissioner discussion at that point. But, and that's being updated, and that might be a good case thing to bring up for that project, but,
Yeah, we
Here's
got-
my
Okay.
question. We got this job description from our HR person. And we really didn't have any input on it. It was, here it is. Yes or no? And we wanted to move forward with not dragging the chain any further because we already had it in there for 7 months doing the job without the compensation for it. But if you read through that job description you have, it's not close to what she's actually doing. So how do we address that with our HR person?
Well, because,
Well, and I
like you
thought,
said, it's
yeah.
unique. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
so why did you adopt it then if it wasn't sufficient?
Because I thought this would get her what she needed.
Oh, okay. Well, what you should have done is just reject it and say, we need to go back to and rework it. That's your call to make.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It just needed to be done. So if that's the case, and when I sent that email forwarding it to you, I specifically mentioned, it's your turn to put the input on this and work on it. It was kind of a short time frame, but if there needs to be more time, then yes, definitely.
The other thing I didn't know is how much leeway we had with what was coming from HR.
Oh, that I don't know.
That's my mindset is what can I do with this?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But yeah, it's definitely modifiable, and it's since it's a position that rolls up under commissioners, you have to kind of initially approve what comes to us, because it's in that domain. Now, we got the cart before the horse a little bit, that's okay, but I think we do need to go back to this, redo it, and then surely by July, we'll have a correct final
Yeah.
copy, if you will. It could end up being a special occupation classification anyway, since you're so special, right? But it could end up being classified differently in that respect, or if things were missing in the job description that you had previously approved, then maybe the missing items would have been the key to classifying it at the next level, which has different pay. So either way, I think it's worth getting it done right and finishing it.
And I'll try to
Yeah.
keep track of like every little thing that I do, and it's.
Let's
it's
follow
hard
up
'cause I
tomorrow
just-
with the consultant on it and get
Yeah.
him started on it right away. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right, we've got a motion on the floor. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor? Motion carried.
Thank you for your patience working through all
Yeah.
that, so, yeah.
Okay, on to new business. Area 10, Agency Rural Transit.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me. I want to share some information with you about rural transit through Area 10. My name is Amy Garatas. I'm the new director at Area 10. Our rural transit has provided the only public transportation for Owen County for 35 years now. So I'd like to just share some testimonies that I recently got from Owen County residents about rural transit. John Kay, a lifelong Owen County resident who gave up driving in August of 2005 due to his declining eyesight, exclaimed, "We really need the service." He started using rural transit for his doctor's appointments and now uses us regularly to travel to appointments and other services around Owen County. Twyla Thompson shared, "I don't know what I would do without rural transit. I've ridden rural transit for the last 15 years. I ride to town to my medical appointments and to get my groceries and things." Jennifer Goldsmith, a case manager with the Indiana Health Center, states rural transit has been a lifeline in our community. Without rural transit, the members of our community would not have transportation to meet their health care or essential shopping needs. The door-to-door pickup is essential for our elderly and homebound patients that do not have other avenues of transportation. Last year, rural transit provided 7,962 rides to Owen County residents. We receive FTA pass-through funds to NDOT and Monroe County commissioners for our 4-county service area: Lawrence, Monroe, Owen, and Putnam. This grant pays up to 50% of the net operating expenses. Part of that stipulation is a local match from units of government. Owen County's share of our required local match for 2027 is 19.11%, which equals $100,059. The current Owen County local match raised and pledged so far is $69,747, which leaves us with a match deficit of $30,312. It isn't possible to fund our regular Owen County operations without the local match support. We are requesting the Owen County Council to consider providing this match of $30,312 in support of its residents for 2027.
So that was my first question, is what year are we working on here? And 27 is what you're looking ahead at.
Yes, the grant is due the beginning of May, so it's already been submitted.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
It's just
the way the fiscal year runs.
the timing of it. And I
Yes.
think I remember Chris talking about that in the past. There's a weird cutoff and
Yes.
trying to track all that. So we do have a little bit of time here to make a decision and try to
Absolutely.
figure that out if that's what the council wishes to do. We do have our budget workshops here in August anyway, where we work on this stuff for 27. And so I think that short of showing up at that event, you've kind of already presented, right? But, you know, there could be another opportunity then as well.
Okay.
But I'm thinking we should maybe take it under advisement and work on it for 27. I still think, this is broader speaking here, nothing against rural transit, I still think we should have some kind of a community grants program. Rural transit used to be a recipient several years back, as were other organizations. We took that away when there were some financial concerns. We may be able to retool something anyway. So there's that discussion. But I think it does warrant discussion, but I think the decision would have to be made in the bigger
I agree.
picture. Just my opinion on that.
Yeah, budget hearing sounds great.
One other question.
Yes.
The federal government has changed a lot when it comes to transportation and that kind of thing. And wasn't there a couple years ago, there was an issue with like Bloomington Transit, rural versus city? There was some kind of dynamic there. And that really, would you say that kind of strapped rural transit,
It
kind of
did
got the
affect
bad end of the
us.
deal in that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It changed the routes, particularly for Ellettsville,
Okay.
considering Ellettsville an urban area. And we are a rural transit, so we are county.
So that line, basically there was more of a dividing line between city versus county that affected cross-line runs
Yes.
and routes.
Yes.
Okay,
And we are going to be working, due to the county tax changes that are happening, we are going to be working with Bloomington Transit to see about, but this is Monroe County.
Right.
That we'll be, working with them. But yes.
It's a part of the bigger
urbanized
pot.
area
Okay.
did change a lot of things for us.
Any other questions?
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much. for
thank
your
you very
time.
much.
Okay, on to the EMS program, the Mobile Integrated Health request.
Chris was not able to be here tonight. He had sent emails out to all of you, a couple different ones, trying to explain the program, copies of budget and those kinds of things that his services would provide. there's many different issues, as he had said, whether it's access to medications, physicians, prenatal care, postnatal care, infant mortality, medical scheduling, and telemedical are just a few of the things that the program would do. They missed out on the initial ones, and Indiana Rural Health is allowing them to be part of their multi-million dollars. There's Owen, Clay, Vigo, and Sullivan County that are 4 of the ones in our district that do not have it. The goal by Indiana Rural Health is to have this in all of the 92 counties to make sure that there's the services that are needed. Again, there is a copy in there of a budget summary that was presented. He is just needing confirmation. He would also need to add this and make changes to his budget if it was pursued.
But it is not, I mean, there's no monies, I mean, the grant covers it.
It's a grant, you would have to upfront some of it in order to get
Okay.
the reimbursement, but eventually it would catch up with itself.
Okay.
And there's a timeline on this page on the sections that it would benefit and be able to move.
Yeah, so. And the other thing too is it would add a position, and I chatted with Chris about this. It would be a paramedic, so they would be of that training level and capability. But he mentioned it would not be the same as paramedics as we normally know that are doing runs. It would be a different type of position. And so he would probably have some kind of a job description that would match that particular one. It wouldn't be getting holiday pay, for example. And
Right.
yeah, it'd be
Right.
more of a, I don't want to say desk thing, but it'd be more of some administrative and not a 24, shift type schedule. So he would be preparing that for us, and eventually we would review that and approve it. But that's pending.
I think it's an
Yeah.
excellent idea. One thing that Chris was talking about was that on the runs that they have that are repeat runs, it will help alleviate that. And because I think I wasn't aware of how many, runs where they get,
Repeat.
Right, repeat, or, somebody's fallen, or the child needs their temperature taken. I mean, they get runs like that. And if something like this would be really nice to kind of alleviate those.
It's almost like
We
preventative.
went to one house 52 times in 1 year,
Yeah.
and that's just us. And they do it everywhere.
And insurance has changed over the years as well, and that's one of the other things with this. If you are a repeat within a 30-day
Yeah,
period, your
they don't
insurance
pay for
company
that,
will
yeah.
refuse to pay. So this would help alleviate some of those costs possibly.
It's more of a proactive
Yeah.
component, and it's covered.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve or give our blessing to participating in this for Chris.
Motion made, is there
I
a
second
second?
that.
Second by Steve. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion carried. Great.
And I know this isn't the jail, but it does remind me that, and I think you mentioned this at one point, that if there was only also a similar way we could approach that, where you have a proactive approach to reduce recidivism, or I should say improve those statistics to try to keep repeat residents of the jail from being there and be more proactive. And I wish that was more a part of this discussion with the jail. But I think this is a great way to help EMS out
Yeah.
and that part of it. So.
I agree.
No heaters, no air conditioning.
Yeah.
All right, Commissioners review requests.
Chris just texted me and said to please thank you for him.
I have something for the commissioners. So there was, and this was brought up somewhat internally, and I don't know if building department has gotten to you yet, but there is an incidental need to have some part-time in the building department. But we don't have an ordinance for that. It's not on the books, so to say. Has there been any action yet on that? Okay.
Going down that route, she's mentioned it before, that we need a part-time,
Inspector.
inspector, and then someone to kind of be in the office. I mean, today's a prime example. She's getting ready to go to lunch, somebody walks in. I said, you take care of that person and then make a note of it, figure it out.
Yeah.
We can't have the public waiting for us to go take lunch and come back. So.
I just want to make sure that we're not missing any action. Okay.
We've had that conversation.
We're hoping to follow up with the commissioners meeting to be able to add that, but Heather has already put a dollar amount in the 2027.
So we know for 27, it's going to be up for discussion.
Right.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't really need a job description, but we need a position.
Yes.
And then try to advertise and find someone. And I'm not even sure what that day looks like yet, because it's not, I don't know that it's every day you work from here to here. I don't know yet. I'll have to talk to her on that. The HR admin position is supposed to do two things for us. It's supposed to alleviate the human resource function from the auditor's office. And it's also supposed to man an office for the commissioners to be our person in the office on a day-to-day basis here.
Do you
to
care-
relay information about us.
Do you care to come up to the
Oh.
microphone?
So Norm, just
Yes.
point of order.
Yeah.
So there's not an official proposal yet on this HR position?
No, we
You're just
still have-
giving an update?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not looking for any kind of
Just want to make sure. Okay.
motion tonight or anything, just to keep you in the loop here.
Got it.
We're looking for an admin position for us to give us a presence in the courthouse during the day, because the public has requested that, and 2 of the 3 of us have full-time jobs. So we can't be here during the day all the time, every day. So this person would do that, plus they will alleviate the HR position from the auditor's office. There'll be a training period where, is it Lindsay? Right? Lindsay will work with this person, get them up to speed on the HR aspect of the job, and then that position will move away from the auditor's office and give her back her person that's currently doing that. Is that right, Sheila? Did I miss anything there?
Did.
Okay.
And that's, Addie has provided 4 different counties, job
Yes.
descriptions between HR and
Okay.
admin. It is real deep involved, and some of it is minor. I think, again, the commissioners are gonna need to get together and really decide and work with Lindsay and Addie exactly what they want, which is the priority. I personally feel the HR is the priority. It'll alleviate some of the workload in my office. The personnel policy goes hand in hand. Until Addie gets done with the personnel policy and the commissioners update and adopt everything, we're not gaining anything.
Right, I agree.
You guys had originally set aside $20,000 for the HR position and her to be working on the policies and things, and there is another meeting this coming Thursday. We're kind of spinning wheels, because I think we're just through, maybe, I don't even think we're through a third of it. So just trying to catch up, we're that far behind in our policies, and thus the need for an HR person. The daily administrative stuff, it would be nice if there was a go-to person for the commissioner, but ultimately, the commissioners still have to bring it to their meetings and vote on stuff, and the way the code is written, the auditor still has to attest everything that is done and those kinds of things. So if we had to separate one or the other, I would say the HR is the more important one.
Absolutely.
And I don't think you're gonna find an HR and administrator for $30,000 a year. I have offered to give up the position that I have to go toward this, but we gotta make sure we're getting what we need in the end as well. And what is gonna benefit the commissioners, the employees, because I think, again, the HR in my 6 years has been daily an issue in trying to, but it's because our policies are
Policy.
not updated. So until we get the policies updated, there's gonna be a need for HR every day.
Now, is this
Right.
gonna act similar to like an assistant for you guys? Like if you.
Not really an assistant, more like a,
admin.
I hate to say a secretary, but
Yeah.
somebody to get information from the public and then relay it to all three of us.
And get
And have that
call for
face-to-face.
bids and answer vendor
Right.
questions and.
Yeah, I
Right,
thought, you know,
you know,
something where you guys could, you know.
Something like this right here, where I was dealing with it from afar and, you know, they're playing phone tag with me because I'm where I can't get the phone. That person could deal with that and then just update us, hey, this is what we said, this is what we did, this is what we talked about, that kind of thing. The bigger issue right now is the HR part. So last Thursday at our meeting, we got these 4 job descriptions from 4 different counties. We're going to try to combine those into something that works for us. And then we'll be back to you guys to say, okay, here's what we've come up with. We'll get Addie involved, obviously, and try to take those 4 and make us one that will work for us. Get the HR part of it squared away with the understanding that we're also wanting this person to be our public face for the commissioners and to be in an office here in the building. So,
Yeah, and if you're taking the HR stuff, some of that stuff out, and maybe some of the other, there's a few other administrative things that would come out of that you're not dealing with, then you're saying you might be able to then give up that new position that was added. Transfer, it'd be the same
Right.
benefits. The pay would be more
I
because.
think our number's
thinking, but-
we're gonna be hard pressed to find, if we combine those 4 jobs for the dollars we're talking
Right.
about right now, we'll be hard pressed to find that person.
I think it would be higher than anything we're at now.
But, you know, this is a good starting point, and
Yeah.
now we've got, did you guys get those 2, the 4 job descriptions? You did?
Yeah.
They should have gone out, you got, yeah, okay. So,
Well, yeah. we'll see
my
where that-
personal
yeah.
request would be you guys go through the 4 of them, pull out the stuff that you like, we'll do the same, bring all of our stuff back to the table with Addie and see what we can come up with. There's things I like in these, there's things I don't like in them, and that's gonna be everybody on every piece of paper you ever look at. There'll be things you like and things you don't like, but I think we need to align it to be mainly HR, the administrative side for us, or the public face for us, is just an added bonus.
That was super helpful.
And it also addresses an issue that's been brought up with us from the public side about what they would like to see. And short of a full-time commissioner, we need a body in this that has a commissioner connection, but we need the HR works right now.
Yeah. That sounds like a great idea. That'll keep you guys kind of on track too,
Right.
and because I can imagine that the phone calls are overwhelming and trying to get just started on one project before the phone.
And they can be an admin on our Owen County Government Facebook page, so I don't have to do that. So, there you go. But yeah, that's great, that's great.
Like I said.
Thank you for the
As you're
update.
going through those job descriptions, anything that you
Yeah.
thought of that you need to pencil in,
Put that in there.
we need to put that in there. And just try not to make it a dumping ground where we'll never find anybody that wants to do it. Anyway,
It's tough keeping up every day from my seat and the constant, you know, today we've dealt with half the morning and we still do not have phone lines. Us, the health department, there are 9 phone lines still down and they're still telling us 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow.
Unacceptable.
Wow.
Absolutely. But
and it's
but we
AT&T
can't do
that's
anything with
stonewalling
them.
us on it.
You know, so dealing with that, or the changes that are coming in, or you know, just keeping up with emails is a challenge, and what we can and can't do. Payroll is finally sifted through. The sheriff's department this last week has agreed to go back on the AOD system.
Oh.
So EMS is the only department that is not in our payroll system. So I think that's a plus. We've gained. Again, this person will work with Lindsay. We've got to make sure we're not overstepping boundaries or where we're at and what we want to keep and not keep. But it's hard keeping up with the commissioners and trying to get with all 3 of them and what we're doing. The window is a prime example. Didn't know I ever get with you on the window.
I talked to John downstairs and he said, what we've done here is fine.
Correct.
It's secure now, which was the main concern, until they get something
So City
They
Glide,
can do.
again, storms blew out the window, we boarded up the outside of it, or Noah, and then did that on Friday, just to make sure that everybody is safe on the outside. City Glass was in today, they're going to replace the upper section, but it's gonna be 2 or 3 weeks before they can get the glass in, and then they're just going to seal the window off period until whatever is decided to do on the courthouse. So there is just daily something that is going on to try to keep all 3 commissioners, or at what point do we email the attorney? I'm tired, nothing against Tony, I'm tired of paying attorney fees if we don't have to, or, you know,
Be more
Addie.
efficient for
You
pay.
know, we're doing a Zoom meeting with Addie on Thursday for our policy stuff, because it was $375 just for her to travel here. So let's save the hour or 2 of travel time and try to get a couple more hours in and further in the policies. So it's just tough when you have 3 different individuals you're trying to get with, and again, if the administrative can have that authority, legal authority, and try to make things better, it's definitely needed.
Yeah, so, one question I would have, Anton, this is probably a question for you. Once we get the job description, do you know of a position or a control number that would even fit this kind of position, or have you got that far down the road yet?
As far as,
I mean, this job, when we combine this and we make this a position, we don't currently have anything on the books that would even come close to what this is gonna be,
that's where
right?
Addie comes into play.
Okay.
She's gonna
All right.
score it based on what you give her. So
Okay.
that's why it's so important to have that back and forth. Make sure that everything you think
Right.
you want your ideal
Well,
position
now that I
to
know that.
include, right? Yeah, then she would score it, and it may
Okay.
be a special occupation, it may be a comma, who knows what it would end up being, but then
Alright.
there'll be pay levels that she gives for that, low, mid, and high, and then we can then review all that. So yeah, she will be the primary person for that.
Okay.
She has them on the pad.
Would you-
Oh, okay, so she's already got it in professional, so that'll be probably the classification it'll
Okay.
end up being in, and there's usually a unique rate for that depending on what it does, so, yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Any other questions?
thank you
I
for
know
that.
it's kind of vague right now, but it's a work in progress.
Appreciate your work on that.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, on to new requested additional appropriations and transfers.
We don't have any new additional appropriations, yay.
Good.
First time in a long time, you just have 2 transfers. They're both in your
Yeah, and these are both
packets.
probation related because she juggles funds and tries to make sure certain things are paid. I'm gonna make a motion that we allow the 2 transfers as presented by probation and corrections.
Motion made by Anton, is there a second? Second by Daniel. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion carried. All right, soil and water.
Hello, you should know me, Tammy Bingham, Director of Owen County Soil and Water. Thank you for letting me come forward. Right off the bat, and I apologize, I'll talk louder. My hearing aids they echo in my head, and so I don't talk as loud, so I apologize for that. Right off the bat, I am not asking for a vote, I'm just asking for consideration. I'm very excited to share that we're ready to proceed with the next phase on a riverfront restoration project. If I'm correct, Sheila had prepared or had passed out the packages I prepared for you about my letter grant. Okay. The first phase, we got completed. You see pictures in here. It's amazing. We waited a year to make sure that the riverbank would hold, that any flooding that would come would hold. It's doing great. It's doing amazing. Myself, engineers, my other people, the supervisors, we've gone out and we were able to identify 4 other critical sites that do need to be addressed, needs to be stabilized, reinforced to help preserve the integrity of the riverbank, of Cooper's Commons on the other side, and then also of the My Path Riverfront Trail. The next phase of that is the engineering grant. I was able to receive that. The board did vote on an engineering company that is DNR approved to proceed with that. There is a match involved in that. That's something that I'm asking that you consider possibly helping contribute to that. Our match is going to be $11,000. I am happy to share that since I created this project for you, if you notice on the package, I had said up to 5,000 match is what I'm hoping for. Since that time, I've already obtained 4,000 in in-kind match. I'm very excited about that. That'll be work that I'll be doing on my own. So that lowers that down to 7,000. My Path, the Friends of My Path, they're pledging $500. They are a nonprofit. They are run by donations. They came to me and said, this is important. We love this. We want to help. $500 is a lot of money from the Friends of My Path. I do plan on reaching out to other entities. That's one of the reasons why I'm wanting this to be taken under consideration. I may not be needing 5,000. You know, it may be 3,000, it may be 1,000. I would like to see the county council and then also the town council pledge something, because I think that would look good for you. I think it would look good for the county, for the community. This is for future generations to come. And we thought really hard. When I first started this, after this project, we had identified 7 sites. That's 7 years, because you only get 100,000 each year for the construction aspect. I went ahead and said, okay, let's do engineering. At the time, the first grant, which I was not involved in, that identified one project and had the engineers give us a quote to an estimate on what it would take to preserve that one site. Well, I found 4 critical sites. You're welcome to come out, I can show them to you. I told my engineers, I'm only doing one engineer grant this time. I'm not going to keep doing an engineer grant for each site. That's the reason why this came out about 10,000 more than what the original one came out, because it's covering 4 sites. So I was able to condense the 7 down to 4. That would have been 4 years if we did each site. The engineer plan can be used for each site. I did confirm that with Lair and with DNR. So I just saved us $44,000 times 4. Yes,
So,
sir.
and also just for clarity, when you're saying the 4 sites on
Yes.
your map in your documentation, is that the A, B, C, D? Is that
Yes,
what
sir.
you're referring to?
That's
Okay.
exactly right. I had actually done that, because again, we had seen 7, and then we were able to reflect, okay, how critical is this? Let's look at the curve. You know, if there's a certain curve, and Steve, I know that you're very versed in things like this, and so you understand how the water flows, that there would be more erosion from a certain site as opposed to where it's straight. And that's the reason why I was able to condense it from 7 sites down to 4 sites. Then, after the construction of this original site, which this would be the initial 5, the original site, I talked with my contractors, and I've had other engineers come in, because they did something a little bit different than what was initially proposed and accepted by DNR. There is a very, very good, optimistic, not guaranteed chance that I can get 2 sites corrected in $100,000 grant. If that is true, we just condensed the project from 4 years down to 2 years. This is very exciting. I'm ecstatic. As you know, I don't know if you know or not, My Path and Soil and Water have obtained another piece of property to extend the trail closer to McCormick's Creek. I think you're familiar with this. Did Kyle Hannon share that with you? And so that's very exciting. And if we can just keep preserving the riverbank, people are going to come to Owen County for this trail. So just again, no vote. I know you've got a lot going on. I know there's a lot of funding, people who need funding. If there's any way that you can see to at least help us with at least $1,000, I put down 5,000. 3,000 sounds great. 1,000 sounds great. I'd like to be put on the agenda next time if that's possible, so that we can discuss this further. If you have too much going on because of the jail stuff and other stuff, I understand that. This needs to be resolved by the fall, because I will be applying for the construction aspect of the grant that is due in December. Well, actually, it's due like January 10th, you know, the first full week of January. And so we have a little bit of time to reflect. Again, my magic figure is 5,000. That being said, when I found out today I had my $4,000. I'm like, yes! So, who knows?
And is it section B that would be the next one up? Does it
Actually,
go by the letter, or is that just the way it's displayed?
Okay, hang on.
I'm just curious what the next
The next one's
priority.
going to be A, because the first one is the first one. It's not even part of this. After the first, the initial grant was completed, I went, okay, we have 4 more sites. The next one's going to be A and B. And actually, if you look between A and B, you can see that's where that completed project
That's the
is
current one, is
That's
that?
the current one
Okay.
that's completed. Now, I want to
So
invite
A,
you, and I'm going to share this. I'm having my initial shareholders meeting with the engineers. It's SWCA, this gentleman, Ross St. Clair, amazing, he's wonderful. But we're going to have a meeting, Zoom. It's going to be June 22nd, noon. I'm going to send all of you a link. You don't have to attend, but if you're interested in this process, I encourage you to ask questions, because you are county, you are the shareholders. And then on Wednesday, the 24th, they will be coming out and doing some more site work on there, because they've been out a few times checking out this site. You are very welcome to join us. Right now, I don't know what the time is going to be, but it will be myself. I will have some supervisors there too who are familiar with the project. You're welcome to come out and see it too. If you decide that you just want to see it anytime, let me know, and I will meet you. I will be happy to walk you through it. I have the key to the brand new property, which is, it needs renovations because it got caught in the flood, but it's just, something exciting is happening in Owen County, and this is going to bring so much economic development to us. I talked too much, I apologize. Do you have any other questions?
I'm going to make a motion, we postpone this to our July meeting.
All right.
Motion made by Anton, seconded by Nick. All those in favor?
Okay. Thank you for your time. Reach out if you need more information, okay?
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, salary ordinance confirmation summaries.
I'll make a motion that,
You're all-
I was waiting for you. No, somebody other than me. I'm going to make a motion that we allow the president to sign off on the salary compensation confirmation summaries.
Made by Anton, is there a second? Seconded by Daniel. All those in favor? Motion carried. All right, municipal units strategic.
And that would
task
just pass on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we discussing that at all, or just kind of?
I don't know if there's anything we need to do on that.
Okay. All right, elected official and department head comments. Anybody? Okay. Public comment. Jeff?
Hello, Jeff.
Good evening, councilors. So, I'll try to be brief here, looking at my watch. I gave a little talk at the commissioners' meeting, in which I said that I thought that the commissioners were responsible for the requirements for the jail. That means that they are responsible for the configuration, the specification, and so on of the jail. And the council is responsible for funding it. Tonight's discussion is an excellent discussion of how things need to get more aligned. Okay? So, I think there was an excellent comment made by Councilor Fry that said, you know, if we put it to the back, we could sell it, put the jail more towards the back, we could sell the front, which is interesting. We heard some comments that, well, that wasn't, we were going to put a coroner's office and a health office there. Okay, is that a requirement? If it is, great. Can we see it on paper somewhere? Okay, can we see it on paper somewhere? I'd have to say that once you build the jail, you're not going to move it back to the back of the property. Okay, it's going to be where it is. So, so that's a strategic discussion. When I was the management unit strategic task force discussion, maybe there needs to be a county unit strategic task force discussion where we talk about what the county's going to do with respect to all the stuff that it faces. Councilor Carroll, you made the comment about, well, the people don't want us to subdivide it. Well, is there a deed restriction in it? Has anybody seen the deed yet? Okay? Because the deeds are where any kind of restriction with respect to reselling the property would be placed, okay? Unless it's a general person's agreement. So I encourage, and I know Norm heard it, because Norm was there when I said it, okay? In the commissioners meeting, he heard it, and I'm sure he's engaged in it. Commissioners need to understand that they are responsible for the requirements, and they need to document those. Now, you guys are responsible for funding it, and I'll be honest with you, tonight I heard Mr. Peters talk about this, and he never used the T word, but that's what's going to happen. We're going to get a tax increase. Okay. That's what's going to happen. We talk about the lit numbers, we talk about all that kind of stuff. The county is going to need to find more money, not only to support the jail, but everything else that's going on in the county. Okay. So please, I know it's a dance, I know it's a dialogue, I know all that kind of stuff, but we're racing towards building a jail, which I think is the right thing to do. I watched your video. Okay, I think it's the right thing to do, but we need to understand: are we buying this property for all of Owen County to use, no matter in the future? Okay, is there a plan for? How much are we going to spend on a coroner's facility? How much are we going to spend on a health facility? Right. We're spending $1,500 a month somewhere else, but it is built. Okay. So, you know, that gets to a grand plan for requirements for the county, and it would be a great opportunity. But let's understand what we want to do and then find the money. And I'm going to ask this question, and I don't know whether there is an answer to it. What's our current number for the jail? I just did the math. It was 26.5, and that's starting with the 25 plus the land. That's how I got to 26.5. But it's more than that now, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So
20. Yeah, 26. Are you?
I just did the old 25 million plus the whatever it costs, about $1.5 million for the land. So I don't know what the numbers are now.
Well, there's a 38 million.
38 million.
And that includes the 2 million in sewer, that includes the land, so that's what they're shooting toward us now.
Okay. And that is the gross amount.
Right.
We would apply
Yeah,
the
we've got
4 million in
4
cash, or
million.
use that for other expenses first.
Right.
The debt issuance would be less than that. It'd
Right.
be 34,
And
for example.
what I would like to see done, I mean, you know, apply our 4 million and then sell the land that the current jail is on.
Yeah.
Apply that to that. I'm with Joe. The reason I voted for that purchase of that land, because in my head, I was thinking, you know, we don't need 17 acres. We could divide some of that off and sell it and, you know, recoup some of our expenses and put that on the bond payment as well. I did not know that there were any stipulations. I don't remember hearing that they said that.
So I do recall that the lady was not willing to divide the land to sell it.
Right,
But once
right.
it was sold, I didn't know that
I
there was
didn't either.
a stipulation that thou shalt not divide it
Mhm.
further.
There is not.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm with you. I thought that, they didn't want to, because when we asked if we could purchase less than the 17 acres, and they wanted to just do the 17 acres.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like that, being against subdividing it. I didn't take that as it being a stipulation after we
Yep,
bought
I was
it.
interested in that because what you're doing as a county is you're sufficing your requirement for a jail.
Mm.
Yeah.
You put it on the back, you're also increasing an area to sell economic real estate that currently does not exist.
Mhm.
So you're benefiting your town and putting stuff back on a tax roll to help out.
Right.
Plus, back to the sewer, after we get a hold of it,
Yeah, it's.
and then the sewer will then be there, and the front lots will be extremely valuable at that point. We can recoup the cost of the sewer, for example.
The only
Just throwing that out
The
there.
only thing that concerned me a little bit is they want 2 access routes to the jail, and if it is on the back of the property, then I don't know how
But
that would
was
do.
fine when it was in the quarry.
That's true, that's true.
So, again, I come
Yeah.
back to the commissioners. If the commissioners have a requirement that they're going to need all 17 acres, okay. But let's see what those requirements are.
Well, and we have 180 acres on 43.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that sold as well, but I mean, I know that was told, I mean, that was not an option, so.
You're
but
right, though, it's their decision. and-
Yeah,
but-
I mean, we can say what we want to see, but ultimately the commissioners have to, I mean, they make that decision.
but I do want to say, I do think, and I'm running longer than I wanted to. I think Mr. Peters was very gracious, but I think he's pointing us to, we're going to need to raise taxes, which is okay, but let's be open about it. Let's be upfront about it, right?
I'm not sold that we're going to have to
Okay.
raise taxes, because I feel like the new lit structure is going to give us so much more flexibility. Right now, like I said, when we enacted the jail lit tax,
Yeah.
the town of Spencer got, at that point, it was 900,000, and that they didn't ask for, they didn't need, but they automatically got it by the way the IC code was. Now I think it's 1.1 million that they get every year. That amount, it would be more at our disposal.
And Mr. Peters' comment, which is kind of an interesting comment that says, you know what, your income is higher, that whole $1.3 million that they talked about, the supplemental lit, that was a guess from 2 years ago, and our income is higher. So there is a very good chance that we will survive and glide on through this, but there's still a risk. Anyway, that's all. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you. Any other public comment? Jerry?
I couldn't thank the gentleman for half of the speech that I was going to make, but there's some slight variations. The first thought that crossed my mind when I looked at the jail on the tour, yes, indeed, we do need the jail. But it appeared to me that the price tag seemed to be high, and I'm not a jail builder. So I pulled up some numbers. These were all off of an Indiana jail-related projects. Some of them are just now in the works. Some of them are already completed. There were 4 different ones, which, considering that they were in Indiana, should be some comparative numbers. And the per bed price seems to be a standard method by which these things are determined. Well, I looked at some of those, and while it may not be a linear comparison, I took the number of beds that they were getting and the price of their jails versus our 112 beds. The lowest one would have put our jail at a cost of about $20 million. The highest one was only about $31 million. Mentioned this to Anton, I did not bring those numbers in with me as far as which exact jails and their size, but there was a significant difference. The per bed price that we were looking at is $339,000 per bed, and the lowest one was $188,000. So this brings back to the situation where if they're talking about trying to put new offices in with the jail, that would be wonderful, except for the fact that we're putting it all on $90,000 per acre property. Now, if they're paying $18,000 a year, they're renting a building, the facilities, it's built, probably got utilities included, and $18,000 per year for an office to work out of, or whatever their facility is, I don't know the specifics, that seems to be very reasonable in comparison to trying to add this on to a jail project where we're already pushing the numbers, and just as he has suggested, if anything turns downwards, we could be in trouble. So I don't think that we should push this any further than what we have to. And a question probably for the commissioners that I mentioned here, has anybody else looked into these comparative numbers as what we're going to be paying for jail versus what everybody else has been paying for jail?
I'd like to see, I mean, could you send that to me? Because, I mean, I'd be interested in seeing
yeah, I'll pull it
what
back.
counties they were.
I
and
actually posted them, but I'll actually pull up the websites and get that back to
Okay.
you.
Now, what was your square footage price again on most of those?
These weren't square footage, it's per bed.
Per bed, that's.
I think the lowest one, and these are 4 Indiana new jails, was approximately 188. And I had to reverse this while I was sitting here because I remember using those numbers for 112 beds. Our cost would be $20,700,000. If I took the highest one, it was approximately $285,000 per bed. And that would give us a jail at about, I think it was $31 or $32 million. A savings of about $7 million was what I originally came up with.
The company I work for, we're finishing the Madison County Jail right now. And I don't know what the per bed number is, but the per square footage comes out to about $600 a square foot. It's $101 million. Now that was bid into 2022. 2023, the end of 2022 is when those bids came in. So most of the stuff that we're going to find has been bid, unless it's getting ready to start. Most of the stuff, and we went through a drastic price increase. I've seen the numbers from what we're bidding this jail to what we're bidding another jail. Our company bids jails started, folks. I just found out myself.
Well, I will not argue that, and I am not the building
it's
jail scientist. But what I'm getting at is that between your comment, that if we can buy that property, if they insist on selling the 17 acres, I would think that the jail should go as far off of that front property as possible because it is going to be marketable. And just as you said, if we've installed a brand new sewer, the stuff's going to be of value. And as far as saying, well, let's expand the jail because we'd like to put a few more accessory offices in there, this is the highest property in the whole county. Now, unless those offices are like absolutely got to be there, it would seem to me, let's use a lesser expensive option for those. And if the jail flies and everything's fine and the taxes are great, then turn around and say, all right, let's build these new buildings someplace nearby, but not nearly as expensive.
I don't think they were wanting to include those services into the actual jail. They said.
No, that's what they just said today.
Using the property.
Yeah.
They're talking about using the property. They're not talking about including that in that jail design.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to pay the $600 a square foot.
Okay.
You know.
Well, even still, if we're putting those properties on something that we could potentially sell and put these other offices
Right.
someplace much less expensive, that seems to be a much better plan as far as I think that people in the county are already pretty stressed with this new real estate stuff, and that, you know, you may have a lot more people that are due to the uprising that's going to happen when they see how these rate increases, that's sort of a joke, how these rate increases affect everybody's welfare with the high prices. And I think that's the basis of what I wanted to get out, and I'll probably reiterate this. I'll bring in the numbers for the joint meeting as well to share those, and I'll see if I can't find exactly what the dates were on when those were originated.
And I can look it up too, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Any other public comment?
I have a question on the jail, the access that they're gonna get off of the highway. Is NDOT gonna charge for
Well,
the, and I don't.
They're
see
looking
that.
into that too, and I haven't heard those
I don't
numbers.
see any of that in the bids, and that's pricey.
Yeah, I haven't, that was going to be looked into, and nobody said anything yet.
Oh, okay.
Do I?
It says just driveway.
Normally it would be a driveway permit.
Okay.
Yeah, the elevation there drops off so much, they're going to have to balloon it,
Just have to follow whatever in.
they'll have to turn lane it,
Okay.
Turn lane, and there's no room.
big money.
Any other public comment?
As a general note, Owen County ranks 48 out of 92 in the lowest, for the lowest taxes. So we're just under the halfway of the state.
And how does that compare to the per capita income?
Yeah.
This is the poor county.
Well, but it takes, they go through a lot of stuff, and if we looked at the income, that'd be a good one to figure out, but I bet we'd be close to the middle as well.
We're gaining though, with the new housing developments and things like that, you're attracting a higher income.
And I think if I remember when I looked a year or so ago, our average age was 51, which is quite high. Compared to Marion County, I think the average age was like 28. So it was.
And that doesn't indicate high growth rates.
28?
No,
No.
if the.
Oh, 51, yeah, it doesn't.
51, that does not suggest high growth rates.
Well, you probably meet a lot of people moved here to retire.
The roads don't suggest that.
Well, they're retired, they're just staying home. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Any other comments?
Jeff, when's the last time you left your house? Other than, see, retired.
All right, Sheila?
He has a comment.
Wait just a minute.
I got one.
Yes.
It's not a comment, it's an issue that I don't know how to address.
And what's your name?
Dave Sexton, I'm on White Road. I've got a neighbor that's got a habitat next to me, it's just ruining my property value. And I went through the channels to try to get it addressed, and it's not being done. She's not mowed it for 4 or 5 years. I mean, there's just animals all over the place, and I'm catching all kind of animals in the traps. And they're burrowing under my foundations of my home. I got 2 residents, and they're just destroying my property, and I can't allow this to happen. What, is this the place to address it?
I would think that'd be a commissioner thing.
I did try that. But not him.
I think that's a civil thing.
This is one of the things that we went with the code enforcement 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we tried to get this done, and this has been my biggest gripe about the commissioners. We pulled that position, and I disagree with that. One of the reasons I disagree with the HR position is I think the code enforcement would have been higher priority for me, and for probably somebody like you.
Exactly, it's ruining my property.
And I was never a fan of the fact that we got rid of that position, or we never even tried to.
The problem with that position, they could not decide on whether to put it under the jurisdiction of the sheriff or building department. Because there were a lot of issues that never were addressed, because if you put it under the they wanted to put it under the commissioners in the building department, and this was the past commissioners.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, not you, Norm. But this person was gonna have overreaching powers of going on somebody's property without a warrant or anything like that. And Sheriff White said, I don't want anything to do with that. And he said it needed to be under, you know, a deputy under his jurisdiction, and, I mean, it just never got done.
If it's an excessive amount of wildlife, maybe contact DNR.
Well, the answer I got was I'll send the building inspector out. That's the last I heard. That's the last I heard.
And that building inspector has no teeth to do anything
Yeah.
because we didn't allow that.
So,
If it's wildlife, I
Cut
contact
policies.
DNR.
well,
Yeah.
I was taking the trapped animals into the habitat there on, in Monroe County, and because I was bringing them in for another county, they told me to quit, stop it.
Right.
Well, what do you do with them?
Right,
Shoot them?
I'd contact DNR. It's, I mean, just an option, I don't,
I've caught fox, I've caught everything.
I'll live it.
Because the grass, it's not been mowed for 4 or 5 years. It's higher than that counter there. And there's even a dump there now. They've come along and thought it was, because all the new houses being built on my road, including mine, they just dumped it because they thought no one was living there. And it's still there, so. And there you have mice, rats.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm living next to this paying high taxes. I don't get it. I mean, I know it's a county,
Yeah.
but come on. Somebody.
I agree. I bet, you got an idea, Norm.
You know, we send Sean out, and he can cite them, and they
Yes.
don't pay it,
Yeah.
and we cite them again, and they don't pay it. What's the next step? This is what I've been asking. What is our next step?
Court.
This next step is court.
Court.
correct?
So that costs money
Yeah.
for me to address it in court.
Not necessarily you, because
No,
if the county commissioners are citing it, it's the commissioners are taking it to court.
So we've got the same thing going on.
Let's.
You know, north of here, same deal. He's been out there 3 or 4 times, the cops have been out there 3 or 4 times. Our next thing is to get the attorney that we're paying, you know, to file on it. So that's the steps we got.
And you're not alone in this county with that problem.
Well, I know I'm not, but I'm, all these other places, I got houses all the way down through there, it's brand new building. And it's being run by one individual.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here to get an answer, and I'm still,
We don't have a good answer.
I see this.
We really don't.
Now, what do I do?
Call commissioners every day, voters online. But no, they really do. It is an issue that needs to be addressed, and it's an issue that needs to be addressed for as long as I've lived in Owen County.
I've been here since the 80s, I know.
Can you give me the address of that property, sir?
Well, give it to him after.
I can do that.
Don't,
Yeah.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
write it down.
Okay.
Next.
Make a motion to adjourn?
He beat you.
You're gonna make me mad if you do that.
You only got a couple more to do. You only get 6 more.
The author had to say.
I just sent you and Norm, Patty, the email.